2016 and it's March. Well, I'm sort of half dressed up and let's just get on to the top 10 and stuff like that. Let's just go for it. And also, just a quick thing. I always seem to have like a half beard or some sort of like facial hair whenever I do a top 10 end of the year sort of thing, I think. Well, it's sort of a game tradition. Not really, but I like to pretend it has. Anyway, so before we head into the top 10, let's just explain the rules. Basically, if a show is started in 2014 and it finishes in 2015, it counts. If a show started in 2015 and it's ended in 2016, it doesn't count. And also, if it's in the UK, it also depends on when it ends in the UK as well. So, just letting you know for that, okay, because I live in the UK, this is not a US countdown. Well, it sort of is, because the UK is not that different when it comes to TV shows. Apart from the fact that we call them series and you call them seasons. So, and I have to end up joining with you American and calling them seasons because it gets more views than series. Anyway, enough of my clickbaity titles. Let's move on to the honourable mentions. Starting with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. This was somehow better than the first season, yet it's not in my top 10 because it was in my top 10 last year, Season 1, and Season 2 is way better. But that just goes for the quality of this list. Next up, Gotham Season 1. Yeah, this isn't like the best TV show ever. I like it for the acting, or at least Season 1, I kept watching it for the acting and the hope that it would get somewhere. Honestly, it wasn't that great. But what made this an honourable mention was the acting and some episodes here and there, but mainly the finale. The finale was everything I wanted Gotham to be, and it's so sad that it took 22 episodes for it to get there. Next up, Fear the Walking Dead, the spin-off to The Walking Dead show. Obviously The Walking Dead's a show, but The Walking Dead would be so much better if it was called The Walking Dead Show. I didn't actually think them starting over Walking Dead again would actually... Well, I just kind of expected it to be like Season 1 of The Walking Dead again. But it doesn't seem like that, and that's a good thing. Finally, I am so sad that this is only an honourable mention, but it is a top 10, and that is Agent Carter. Agent Carter is actually a very good show. Hayley Atwell's brilliant as Agent Carter, and she's a character that you really want to see return from the first Captain America, and they never could because, well, spoiler, she dies in the second one from dementia, or Alzheimer's, or something. Like something that old people suffer from. I don't really, you can't remember. It's one of my favourite films of all time and I can't remember what she dies of. It's a minor detail. Okay, let's actually get into the top 10 now, starting from number 10, The Man in the High Castle, Season 1. Okay, I'm going to start out and just say this right now. This was, I think, advertised quite falsely. Well, not too falsely, I don't think it was the right advertising. But at the same time, I kind of understand because you have to get folk actually watching the show. I feel that the trailers made this look like a thriller, just a constant, it's always on the go. It's a very haunting thriller, and it has those elements. It has thriller elements. The final episode, the last like 30 minutes of that episode is really, really intense. Like I for one of the first times watching the show, I was like sitting there like, which never really happens. So that speaks to how good this show is. But the thing that caught me off guard, and the thing that I ended up like I was unsure where to put this, like whether or not to even have this on the honourable mentions, was because it was so much slower than it was advertised. It's very political, and that was something that caught me off guard. However, as I kept watching it, I really began to get engrossed in like all the politics, all just the setting, everything, the characters. It's so much better. If you don't watch any of the trailers and you just sit down, you watch it, you don't have really. If you try and prejudge this is when you end up. The first few episodes start becoming a bit boring, but if you go in and you expect this, like, have no idea, like, if you don't know what to expect from it, you're gonna really like it. I'm not even talking about quality. I'm talking about just if you sit down and you expect something political and everything like that, you're gonna really enjoy this because it's so smart and just really haunting. And I just didn't expect it to be so haunting, so politically like charged, and really I just didn't expect what I got from this. I got so much more than what was originally offered, like something that V for Vendetta in the US with Japan, sort of. They didn't even mention Japan. There's a lot of things that's not in the trailers that they kind of glossed. Well, there's a lot of things that they kind of glossed over in the trailers that are a lot bigger in the plot than the Nazis are taking over or like have won the war. There's a lot bigger things, and it's really interesting. I really suggest you watch this show. Number 9, Star Wars Rebels Season 1. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. I've never watched the Clone Wars. Well, I've watched the episodes, but I never really got into it, and I have heard Clone Wars is actually fantastic. Like, it's better than all the prequels and stuff like that. But I never watched it enough. So when I saw the trailers for Star Wars Rebels and stuff like that, they were really cheesy and everything like that. But I was like, Star Wars is the original trilogy. That's what's dealing with. I'll go for it. Watched it, and I actually seriously enjoyed this. It's surprisingly quite dark for a kids show. It genuinely is. But I feel that all the characters are really interesting. The villains are really intimidating. The Inquisitor is actually a brilliant villain, and just seeing all the different characters, they managed to get characters from the original trilogy. They return, the other characters don't. They managed to link it with Clone Wars, which is really smart. A really smart move, especially considering Clone Wars was cancelled. And we get to see like a lot of really it's Star Wars. That's really all it needs said. It's Star Wars. The lightsaber battles are really good. Just the story's good. It's just a lot of fun. It's quite smart in the way that it does it. Is you have a lot of stuff to do with like bringing food to different people, like just rebelling against the Empire, but not on like this big massive war scale. It's more on the smaller scale. So you're genuinely just, it's going through like cargo and it's stuff like that. But it's somehow really entertaining, and that's all down to the characters. And characters are really well written and stuff like that. And I think it works really well for what it is. Number 8, Base Motel Season 3. So I'm a huge fan of Psycho. I love the characters, I love the story, and Base Motel is a really good prequel show, or reboot, depending on how you see it. And this third season is maybe not as good as season 2. I think season 2 is still the best, but this one was really good for the fact that Norman finally starts to become the character that we all know and love. Without even spoiling it, and I don't want to spoil what happens, and even the trailers are respecting that, they're not even spoiling it, because they understand not everyone's seen the 1960s Psycho, despite the fact that you should. But Bates Motel does a really good job with it. It's very, it's mad. It is crazy, this show. It's dark, it's brutal, it's insane. The characters are really interesting though. Freddie Highmore, I think that's his name. I actually didn't go into this expecting to forget anyone's name, but let's just go with it. He's fantastic as Norman Bates, And just seeing all the different elements of this character come together in this season is really good, and it just ultimately makes the show so much better. And I really liked the direction that it was going. I liked where every episode was going. It has one of the best episodes in the entire show, which if you've seen the series you'll know what one I'm talking about. And it's just, it's mad. It's crazy. And I think as a fan of Psycho, every time we start to see Norman become the character from Psycho, I'm filled with so much joy. I'm sitting there going, yay! Despite the fact I probably shouldn't be cheering on. But yeah, it's really good, and I think this show deserves a lot more viewers than it actually does. And I don't even know how many viewers it is, but I know it deserves more. Number 7, The Flash Season 1. Okay, I'm gonna admit it. I didn't like this show at first. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. I thought it was okay. And I just kept watching it out of the faith that it would get better. And it did. Wow. Somehow they started to like overtake Arrow at points. Like when Arrow started to slow down, Flash would just come out in a flash, and yeah, I had to do the pun. And it would make everything, like, it really added to the universe that they were creating with Flash and Arrow. And just, I love the scientific elements of Flash. Well, Arrow's more martial arts and arrows and stuff like that. Flash is more science and speed. See what I did there? And I really like the story behind this entire season. It never loses focus, which is the thing. Despite the fact we've still got our random villain that appears that has superpowers and stuff like that, it never loses focus on the main story, which is Barry trying to find out who killed his parents and gain control of his speed. And it's really, really good. And the finale is fantastic. I'm not even talking about the last episode. I am talking about like the last 5 episodes. I couldn't stop watching it. It was like the most devastating feeling ever when an episode ended, and that's something you won't actually have to go through, since if you are going to be watching this show, or at least season 1, you'll be watching it all in one go probably, unless you're for some reason waiting weekly. Fantastic show, brilliant casting for the Flash. The other characters are really interesting too, and I love the way that it's tackled. I like the tone compared to Arrow. It's really refreshing, and it really suits Flash. And Flash was like super dark and everything like that. I don't think it would work. It's not going to work. So I like the light-hearted nature of the show, but despite the fact it's light-hearted, it never loses focus, and it's always serious when it needs to be, and that's how a show should be, I think. Well, some shows. That's how Flash should be. Number 6, Doctor Who Series 9. I am a huge Doctor Who fan, so if you hadn't grasped on by the TARDIS and the Weeping Angel, I love Doctor Who. I love everything about this, and I feel that Series 8 was, as good as it was, it had a lot of problems. This series got rid of tons of problems, and it had so many moments. It was one of the first it's the first Doctor Who series in which I've made a video only on one episode. In fact, it's the first Doctor Who series in which I've made a video dedicated entirely to it, even though it's one episode. But it's really, really good. Peter Capaldi is really just, he's very quickly becoming like one of my favourite Doctors, and I just like the personality of him. I like how he's robotic, but at the same time he has like a lot of emotion. He just doesn't know how to speak to humans, and it's a really interesting relationship, especially with him and Clara. And the series has so many great episodes, and Maisie Williams in this series, brilliant. I really didn't expect much of it. I was just like, alright, cool, we got just a little guest star, just Maisie Williams popping around, and then no, she actually had a surprisingly quite big part in the series, and it worked really well. Like, when you think about it, you're just like, no, this is not going to work, but it somehow worked really well, and I really enjoyed it. The only problem I have with it is those damn glasses. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, do you want to see the newest sonic screwdriver? And I'm not even making this up. Here's the newest sonic screwdriver. Thankfully got rid of this at the end of the series. So, yeah, I guess Doctor Who was just... I guess the Doctor was just going through some, I don't know, rebellion phase. He just wasn't happy with Moffat. Number 5, Arrow Season 3. I've already mentioned Flash. Now it's time to talk about this. The other show, the original one. And Arrow is a show that I was talked into watching. It took me a bit of time to actually get through the first series. I thought it was good, but it wasn't that good, and it was very mixed. Series 2, huge step up. Season 3 is incredible. I loved so much of this season. From the very start, you know that this is a different Arrow season. You know that they're doing a lot more with it, because in the first few episodes they have a major death, and you're like, what? What's going on? Please don't do this. What? And you're left in like shock and denial. It's like, no, they're gonna do a superhero thing. They're gonna, and they don't do it this season. They don't do it at all during the season. And I'm like, oh my god, this character is actually dead. And that's only at the start. But as we continue on, we get so much more interesting stuff. There's things going on with Thea. There's things going on with Roy. There's lots of things going on. And Ray Palmer's introduced, played by Brandon Routh, and he's brilliant. They're really doing a great job at expanding the universe, and I really love this season, just like because in the League of Shadows. The League of Shadows is one of the most interesting organisations in comics, I think, and I'm a Marvel fanboy, if you want to call me that. And I think the League of Shadows are one of the most interesting. League of Shadows, League of Assassins. I think there's different interpretations, or maybe I just get confused. But I find them so interesting, and Ra's al Ghul is fantastic in this show. Personally, I prefer this Ra's al Ghul over Liam Neeson's interpretation. I just thought he encaptured the character perfectly. His sinister nature, but he's also kind-hearted, good nature, in which, like, he wants to do good, but he's also doing it through pretty evil means. So there's a lot of things, and you get a lot of old tradition, and I really like how they tackle this. Plus, John Barrowman's in this season for a huge amount, and I love John Barrowman as Malcolm Merlyn in Arrow. He's fantastic. Now, only if John Barrowman would go into Torchwood again. Arrow is just fantastic. The fight scenes are fantastic, especially the season finale. The mid-season finale is fantastic. The only thing that kept it back, and it's still something Arrow suffers with to this day, is the fact that they have some of the weirdest and like worst subplots you can ever have. And sometimes they have like, and I think it gets worse because you end up having like these over the top soap level reactions to like things just to add more drama, and it doesn't work, I don't think, which is the only thing that really keeps it back. But other than that, this season just kept shocking me every episode. I was constantly invested. I was constantly running back just to see Arrow, and rather than there was barely any other villains. It was all basically just Ra's al Ghul, and I really appreciate that. Number 4, Jessica Jones, Season 1. Okay, I barely know anything about Jessica Jones. Other than like some stuff like I know about the Alias comics, kinda. I know the name. That's really it. And I know about Kilgrave / the Purple Man. And I know Luke Cage. And yeah, that's really it. And wow, this show surprised me. Netflix is just on a roll with just everything Marvel related. They are honestly doing a brilliant job. And Jessica Jones is no exception to this. In fact, this is pretty much what confirmed it for me. The thing that makes the season so good is the fact that it's not really an action superhero thing that you would expect like from Daredevil. It's just like fight scenes and stuff like that with superhero like superpowers this time, like proper superpowers. But no, let's Netflix decides let's not talk about that. Let's not go into a big superhero with crazy explosions and everything like that. Let's keep a grounded approach with, rather than having someone fight villains and stuff like that, how about they fight their mental demons? Like their inner demons. And like abuse. Fight against the effects of abuse and how traumatizing events can affect you. And this is like something that I really didn't expect from Jessica Jones. I was through the trailers you would expect, oh right, okay, so it's gonna be Jessica Jones. She's just trying to find Kilgrave and she's gonna be trying to stop him, and it's gonna be dark. It is dark. A lot darker than I expected, and I was expecting dark. And oh my god, I could honestly praise Jessica Jones for ages as a show. There's just so much attention to detail. It's so well written. There's so much. This is a show. This is like the prime example of a show that would never get made on anything other than Netflix, and the quality that they managed to get from the rating and everything like that, and the fact that they just never held back. They went for it, and it really works due to it. There's so many good scenes, and the fact is, there's not really much action in it at all. There's maybe like one scene with like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones fighting together. That's really it, and it's all down to the dialogue and the interactions between the characters and the acting, and I I really enjoyed the show. So much more than Arrow, and the fact that Arrow like was, for the most part, like an action show, but Jessica Jones had the needed like emotion behind it that's constantly there, and it really, every episode you get in it, you're constantly feeling that emotion. The emotion just takes over, and you get to understand these characters more than you actually thought you could. With any other shows, and I feel like this is one of the best like shows I have seen. Why is it not number 1? One minor problem, and that is spoiler territory, but it's just the character, what happens with a character. And I'm not the only one. I know a lot of other people feel that way about this character as well. And yeah, that's really it. I really like Jessica Jones. Number 3, Game of Thrones Season 5. Okay, please don't kill me for this, but Season 5 was incredibly disappointing. I was really disappointed by this show. But to be honest, that speaks about its quality. If it's number 3, it is one of the most disappointing shows that I saw this year. Like the problem is, nothing really happened in the first 3 episodes. Nothing of interest really. It was really boring. It was really dull. Then it starts picking up, and it's not until the end in which it really becomes Game of Thrones again. I feel Season 4 set the bar way too high that Season 5 could not possibly catch up. And it ended up like, I'm not sure where season 4 then started like trying to, season 5 then started to try and get more shocks, and I don't know, it started to crumble, I felt, slightly. But that being said, this is still Game of Thrones and it is still incredible. The characters are still really well written. The action scenes are really well put together. The characters are what drives us. Jon Snow is a really big part this season, and his entire arc this season is incredible. I I love the entire wall section on this season. Um, Unfortunately, like a lot of the other ones weren't that good, and I feel like Jon Snow's is the one that really held this season together. Plus Daenerys, those two's arcs were what made this season. I feel the rest of it wasn't that interesting. There, it, for Game of Thrones anyway, it wasn't interesting for Game of Thrones. I'd say for any other show, it'd be sufficient. And I'm being really hard on Game of Thrones because I love the show that much, and I really don't feel that season 5 hit it. But that being said, it is still incredible. And like I said, any other show this would be an acceptable quality. But Jon Snow's arc and Daenerys Targaryen's arc were incredible. Even though they did take a bit to get going, they were still incredible. And Stannis towards the end really started to have a good arc too. I just wish it had got started earlier. You took too long, Game of Thrones. And then you missed the #1 spot. Thanks to you. In fact, you missed this #2 spot too. You're on #3. What happened? You're like one of my favourite shows of all time. In fact, you are one of my favourite shows of all time. In fact, you are my favourite show of all time. What happened? #2. The Walking Dead Season 5. Okay. To be fair, Walking Dead and Game of Thrones have constantly battling between each other for which one is my favourite show. Game of Thrones was winning, and if it wasn't for season 4 in Game of Thrones, Walking Dead would have taken over because Walking Dead is getting fantastic. Walking Dead Season 5 is a fantastic return. From the very first episode, you knew what type of season this was, and it's a really intense. Ever since they lost the security, the prison, The Walking Dead just all of a sudden became so much more intense. You start feeling the vulnerability a lot more. The characters, they introduce more characters and they're more interesting. The cannibals were really interesting. The police were interesting. Like everything was brilliant about this, and then the second part of the season is fantastic as well. It may take a bit. It's a bit slow after to return. It's like it takes a couple of episodes after the mid-season finale, to get back into full form, and that's really why it's #2 because and not #1 because it has the usual Walking Dead problems in which they make their seasons too long. So they end up suffering slightly. Some of their episodes drag out a bit. But it has so many great moments in it. And all the different places and stuff like that. And the finale is brilliant. In fact, all the episodes coming up to the finale are really good. Once you get back into it again, it's really good. The entire show, this entire season is just a fantastic show. What Walking Dead is and how good it can actually get, and also how it can drop from time to time in quality. #1, Daredevil. Okay, this wasn't really a surprise for anyone, was it? As soon as Game of Thrones was removed, and as soon as The Walking Dead was #2, you knew Daredevil was going to be #1 because this is one of the best shows ever written, and this has only been one season. The characters are incredibly well written. The story's well structured. They do what Arrow's been doing with the flashbacks better than any other show, because rather than having the flashbacks continue on through the season, which to be honest it works with Arrow, and I think if they removed it now it would just collapse the entire show. I feel that anyway. I think the flashbacks are too integrated. But with Daredevil, they know how to show you. They just jump you straight in, and it's just like, okay, we need context for that. Okay, here we go, flashback. Rather than just having the flashbacks going along, it's very concise, very well structured, and the camera work for Daredevil is like something out of a film. I love the camera work, the action sequences, the emotion behind everything. Everything about Daredevil works as a show. The Kingpin is fantastic. It's just brilliant. There's so much stuff going on, and it's like subtle directing through like symbolism, through colours, through. It's like they took the textbook for like how to make a good film, or it's like things you can include in a good film, and then they just put it there, and it's just like rather than bringing attention to it, they just have it there. And you're like, oh right, okay. There's just so much stuff to Daredevil. It's very complete, and it's all it's all in a neat ball and it's given to you, but at the same time it's filled with dirt and it's very dark. I love this, and the fact that the thing I love about Daredevil is the fact that we're getting a man who's blind fighting crime, and it's like we see the triple life that he sort of lives. It's like blind guy, lawyer, and well, vigilante, and it's just brilliant. Especially the fighting. The fighting's not clean at all. It's very dirty. It's very dark. It's very just in your face. It's street. It's there's nothing cinematic about it. It's just a bunch of guys brawling and like martial arts styles, but and like they're just it's very bloody, and I just love the fact that this is a higher rated TV show, like a high right, yeah, let's just go with that. Like it's probably an 18 or something in the UK, and it's brilliant. Like it's great to see a character like this getting into that rating and it working. I mean, if it doesn't work, it's just like, cool, you made an 18, well done. But with this, it just, everything comes together to create a very interesting, very concise, very smart show in which we have two characters with the same end goal, but two completely different methods, which then causes them to clash. And there's a lot of mirroring between it. I could go on forever about Daredevil and how great it is. I'm just going to say go watch it. There's a reason why it's my #1 season of the year. Alright, guys, so what is your top 10 seasons of the year? Or what is your just #1 season of the year? If you want, because not everybody has time to write a top 10. And also, you probably just need to copy and paste it from wherever you commented it last. Like, maybe look into January or December. You'll find the one that you commented. Yeah, just copy and paste it, it's fine. I mean, I am very late and I'm in March. So, yeah, it's actually surprisingly weird talking about this. But I'm going for it anyway. So, yeah. Comment below what your top 10s are. Or, yeah, comment below them all if you want, but top 10 seasons is what I'm looking for. As always, remember to like and subscribe, and see ya. That's a completely different way of saying it, but let's go for it. See ya.